Hey everyone. So if you've been on the internet today, and you probably have heard about a certain number of leaks going around for Lorcana and how hard it is to probably find some of those leaks because it's being struck from the internet from all different Facebook groups and Discord servers and people being banned over it and all this. So I'm not going to show you any of the images, but we are going to discuss things. And the reason that we're going to discuss things is that my hope is that maybe somebody from, as much as I have basically no influence whatsoever, but if there's enough voices trying to reach out to Ravensburger, it's possible that there could be a positive impact for all of us. Because at the end of the day, I love this game. I've been playing Lorcana since the beginning. I love it because I'm able to play it with my kids, with my wife will actually play it with me. I get to be competitive locally and play in tournaments and store championships. And, you know, I'd one day want to be able to play at some of the Disney Lorcana challenges. And so like this game is a very big aspect of my hobby time, right? I do attend tournaments weekly. I buy new product. I'm now trying to make YouTube videos to help promote and grow the game. So like I am a big supporter of Lorcana. What I will not do, though, is I will not show any of the images because I don't want my video to get struck for any reason from anybody trying anything. So we will discuss things, and there will be a link in the description, and then you do with that link what you're going to do. But I am not going to show the images here, but we're going to talk about it. So a couple of big things. We'll just hit certain ones, and then we'll just move on. And I'm also going to have a special, like an end message to Ravensburger. So let's get into part of this. And this is kind of like I wasn't planning on making this video. I kind of just saw the leaks and then just, you know, ran with it. And wanted to make a video to start because I know what's going to happen. In my opinion, there's going to be a ton of negativity and possibly a ton of negativity for months if Ravensburger doesn't make some other type of announcement on top of things. And they still have time because basically, these leaks are screenshots of the presentation that they are going to release on May 6th. And they are absolutely entirely game-changing, pun intended. And I could see a good portion of our player group just literally leaving the entire game. So they've announced that set rotations are coming as of set 9. The first 4 sets are going to be struck from the standard meta. That is absolutely massive. And later we're going to get into why that is so massive. If you're an experienced player, you already can figure that out for yourself. But for those who aren't, I'm going to go over some of that. They've announced that there's going to be a new game mode, Infinity, which you can play with all your cards. I would assume not Hiram and Fortisphere, but that's a different thing. But Infinity it's basically, you know, you can play with any cards you want. That idea, you know, because rotations first causes a lot of negativity in a lot of players. There are plenty of players who are like, oh, their set rotation is going to be great. I don't think so. And I also don't like the idea that come set 9, which is at the end of August, it should be, that releases, literally 4 of my binders are dead. But they're not dead, KoBaC, because not only are they doing Infinity, which I'm not planning to play because I'm trying to play the current meta, is they're going to start reprinting cards in set 9. So certain staples are going to be reprinted. Well, actually, I can't even say staples because some of the choices that they've shown in the leaks are some of the dumbest cards to pick to reprint. So I'll just say Rockstar Stitch is one of them that they've shown that is going to be reprinted. And the way that they're doing the reprints, the way they're handling this is that they show an image that has a set 9 Rockstar Stitch, which is the exact same artwork as the set 1 Rockstar Stitch, and not counting the store championship as well. They are saying that any card that is reprinted in set 9 is legal with the old version. So your first chapter Rockstar Stitch is still playable because it's going to be reprinted in set 9. So you're doing set rotations. Okay. But you're also doing reprints of certain cards. That seems really weird. And the biggest thing that I think is going to fuel the trolls and fuel the chaos is that in these leaks, and this isn't the full presentation, I'm sure, in this presentation, in the leaks, there is no comprehensive list of what is being reprinted. So let's fast forward our thinking to July and then August, at the beginning of August, right before set 9 releases. You bought Reign of Jafar, you had fun with it. Now you know that Fabled set 9 is on the horizon, but you know that the first 4 sets of your collection are completely out. unless they're being reprinted. We don't know how many cards are in Fabled. Like, is this going to be a larger set? They've shown a few new cards that are going to be in it, or they kind of hinted at some of them. They don't show the text. But so there are certain cards that are going to be in set 9 that are brand new, but how much of the set is going to be reprints? If you're doing reprints, why are you doing reprints if you're also doing set rotation? If you were going to reprint cards like Be Prepared or Rapunzel's, big legendaries that are used, Diablos, Robin Hood, Beast, Sad Boy Beast, a couple of these like really big, cards that have been very impactful, and you're going to reprint them so that players that are just getting into the game in set 9 are able to get them, then why are you doing set rotations? Well, we're doing set rotations because we want to knock out old sets so that the meta is refreshed, but we're also going to reprint some of those same cards so that the meta basically stays fundamentally the same in theory, but then it's also being rotated. So like, why are you taking certain cards away from me? Why are you taking away, my, was it set 2 spell book, right? Nobody's playing that. Why are you taking that card away from me? That's not meta defining. It's not hurting anything. Why are you going to take that away if you're then going to reprint some of the other things? I think the biggest thing that Ravensburger could do to curtail so much of the hate, the venom, and everything else that's about to happen in the community, even if they try to squash all leaks until May 6th, they have to release a whole list of what's going to be included. Because if you, like I was saying, you fast forward to August, the beginning of August, you know that the new set's about to release and you want to get a head start on, okay, I want to build a deck. Okay, I can't use my first 4 sets. Okay, but I don't know all the reveals of what's going to be in Fabled. So I'm trying to build a deck of sets 5, 6, 7, 8 so that I can start playing in the first week of set 9's release. Those sets are not going to have very strong deck presence. And yes, the point is to shake up the meta. Okay. I'm getting ready for the set champs, right? For Arkeziah's Island. I'm playing Ruby Amethyst. I am not playing a single set 7 card. There isn't any in it that are that great for the build that I'm taking. That doesn't mean that I'm trashing on set 7. But we all know, if you look at this just being set 1, right? Rapunzel, huge card, right? What else from set 1? Elsa has had a comeback. Friends on the Other Side is literally the only way that Amethyst sometimes functions. Yes, we have Merlin Rabbit, but you're taking Merlin Rabbit away. What else? Sudden Chill, Be Prepared, Whole New World, Grab Your Swords. They're reprinting Maleficent Dragon, which is a good card. I've never said it's not, but it's very expensive and not used by most decks. Like Be Prep being taken away. Hades is now had a huge resurgence, so he's gone. Tamatoa would be gone. Let It Go, One Jump Ahead, Fishbone Quill. What else that's super good for set 1? Simba still gets played. Big Tank, Fire the Cannons. That's just set 1. All right, let's jump over to set 2. Rise of the Floodborn. With set 2, Mufasa is still seeing play. Little Cindy is huge for Steel Song. I've been playing Queens in my Steel Song. Cusco, Madam Mim Fox, Snake, Merlin Crab, Goat, Rabbit. Those are vital for Amethyst. Absolutely vital. Prince John for discard. Hypnotize for discard. Lady Tremaine still gets lots of use. Scar you'll see sometimes. Cogsworth is super big. I know they got rid of Hiram. I mean, you could go on and on. Popsicle, Sad Boy Beast, Big Cindy. And you get to Let the Storm Rage On and Strength of a Raging Fire. These are huge, huge pieces in any Amethyst deck, in Steel Song, in Ruby Amethyst. I mean, in the discard decks, the entire meta is going to completely shift, kind of, because we don't know which cards are coming back. So as you try to build your deck for set 9's release so that you can start playing right away, what are you going to build out of sets 5, 6, 7? We don't know 8. And I know people are going to say, well, KoBaC set 8 may have some really big banger cards in it. It could, but based off of 5, 6, and 7, it's not likely. Will set 8 be fun? Sure. I'm sure it's going to have a lot of stuff that's good. I'm looking forward to the Reign of Jafar like multiplayer box. I'm 100% looking forward to that. That'll be a blast, I'm sure, because the Ursula one is really fun. But are you telling me that they're going to go through, and I think it might be even worth doing after May 6th, go through and pick, if they're not going to announce the list, go through here and pick all the good cards through the first 4 sets and see how many it adds up being. Because we don't know which ones are going to be reprinted. I think that is a very big mistake on Ravensburger's side of things if they're not going to. I don't understand doing rotations with reprints. I understand reprints if you're not doing rotation because, look, somebody getting into set 9, right? The game's been out 2 full years. They don't own Be Prepared. So let's reprint Be Prepared. It hasn't been announced that will be one, but I'm just saying hypothetically. So let's reprint Be Prepared. Let's reprint Rapunzel. Let's reprint, I don't know, pick a different card, Robin Hood's or the legendary Ursula's or the big Sisu, right? Big Elsa. We want to reprint some of these because we want players to be able to have these key pieces to be able to play the game. But we're also going to simultaneously swipe away 4 sets of your stuff. I think doing set rotations on set 9 is way too soon, that we should have instead gotten that on set 13 to start with so that we would get 3 years of use. And again, Infinity is never going to be supported the same way as Standard. That's throwing a bone. It's kind of like when they said, when Ravensburger banned Hiram and Fortescue, they're like, well, you can still play it at home. You just can't play it at any sanctioned tournaments. Well, but for those of us who play competitively, that is literally, you just said, we can't play it. I don't care that I can play it at home against the Ursula or the Reign of Jafar box. I care that I can't play it at tournaments. So if we're doing the set rotations, but we're doing reprints, but we're not announcing what's going to be reprinted. So I would super urge, this would be the point where I talk about the Ravensburger, please. I want this game to continue. You guys have done so much work. You want the game to continue, right? You're not doing this to self-destruct. Please announce what will be reprinted. It will go so far. I have players that I know. One player very much in particular in my local group who I love playing with. He played Hiram, right? He had been grinding Ruby Sapphire. He'd been trying so hard to make it work in his own way. And then when Hiram got banned, he was already talking about leaving. And I've already talked to him about set rotations. And I don't know what he's going to do. Because before he was saying he was just going to get out because he didn't understand. Most of the I don't know if most. So I was under the impression Lorcana was aimed at families and more casual players. Yes, it has a competitive scene. Yes, the game is a lot of fun. And I think there is a lot of competitive capabilities within it. But I was under the impression the main demographic that you were aiming for were the more new to TCG people. If I'm getting into the game in Reign of Jafar, so for the next couple of months, there is no reason for any new person to get into Reign of Jafar. Because in order to be even remotely competitive, and I don't mean competitive like they want to go to DLCs, I mean just like they just want to stand a chance at their locals, they will absolutely need cards like Mim Fox, Be Prepared, Friends on the Other Side, Little Cindy's, Aerials. I mean, there's so many, Tamatoa if they want to go Sapphire items, Popsicles. There's so many cards that they're going to need to go back and buy old stuff of. But at the same time, the whole community is going to be saying, whoa, hold up. I wouldn't buy those yet because we don't know what's going to still be legal come August or September. So for the whole duration of Reign of Jafar, the community is going to be toxic overall. There will be plenty of people saying that are very hopeful, very positive, but there has been no demonstration yet from Ravensburger that that's going to be deserved. And I'm not saying that to be just a stick in the mud, just to be mean. I'm saying it from the standpoint of why I have been playing since the very first set. You are now giving me, when this is finally officially announced, just a few months to get the rest of the use out of my cards if I want to play in the Standard. Why was this not being announced from the very beginning? Why was this not being announced in a year in advance? Why was it not giving us 12 sets instead of only, what will be 8 sets? Because as soon as set 13, not 13, set 13, yeah, when set 13 drops, Shimmering Skies, Azurite Sea, Arkeziah's Island, and Reign of Jafar, as far as I understand it, are going to be gone. So everything that's releasing with Fabled, so that'll be set 9, 10, 11, 12, and then come set 13 will be legal. And then we'll have 14, 15, 16, and then when 17 drops, Fabled and those other 4 sets are going to drop. That's so much. That is too much. I really do. I think it's too much. I think it is especially too much too soon. We have been, from the beginning of the game, people have been upset they haven't been able to track down first chapter. Then you do reprints. Now we've got other nations are finally getting it in their languages. But then they know at the same time that in a couple of months, as they catch up, a year and a half, whatever, they're going to lose big chunks of their sets. Why should they invest in the game? And I get there'll be plenty of people saying, but KoBaC, this is what's healthy for the meta. This is what's healthy for the game. Without a clear plan in place and a good explanation of why you're doing it, it's only going to be negative. It will only be toxic. Will there be people who carry through? Yes. Will I carry through? Honestly, I don't know. You know what really upsets me? I have been playing Ruby Amethyst for sets now, and I've gone on and off and everything. I decided Ruby Amethyst is going to be my set. And I had half of my deck already foiled from trades and other things that I've been doing. And I decided, you know what? I really want this to be a really cool set for me. So I'm going to go buy the rest of the foils that I don't have. I entirely regret that decision. I'm never going to do that again. I don't see any point to ever doing it again. Because Infinity will never be what I want to play. Because if Infinity is not being the primary support of the game, which it's not, it'll be the standard constructed. So if Infinity is never going to take place of that, what's the point? Now, they may go through and reprint Chernobog's Followers, Mimfox, Friends on the Other Side, Lady Tremaine, Medusa, the Sisu's, right? They might. But I'm never going to buy a foil set. Ever. I'm just not going to do it. Why? What's the freaking point? I'm not even going to get 2 full years out of these sets. Because thinking about it, when Reign of Jafar comes out in, I'll have to get in that in a different video because I'll have to break down the math. And I want to wait for them to say what set 6, May 6th, what's going to be totally announced and confirmed. Because there's still the clause that these are still possibly, leaks, and there might not be. But there's a chance that this was leaked also on purpose to see how the community would respond. To see how many people would be up in arms and saying, I would Ravensburger, please. I would super urge you to be hesitant of just, if a bunch of the big YouTubers come out and the, big Facebooks and these big players come out saying that I'm all for set rotations. It'll be healthy for the game. Don't listen to them first. Listen to the regular players. The people who, they buy the cards and they do their best to build their own decks. They don't even really care about the meta, but they still want to play locally, but they care enough about things to kind of keep like a little bit of a finger on the pulse, but they keep trying. I think that those are the people who are probably going to be the most devastated because they won't understand. This is their first TCG. And instead of giving us what appears to be 3 years of use from our sets, we're now going to get maybe 2. But then things will be reprinted, but we don't know what's going to be reprinted. So in between Reign of Jafar and set 9, there's literally no way to build a deck that's going to be any good because you don't know what's going to come out. And yeah, some people may try and they may come up with 1 or 2 really good ones, but those are people who are like the sweaty players. What will the casual player be able to figure out in between then? And when I say casual, I mean like the person who shows up, because I run into people at my local scene. They try to win, they buy lots of cards, but they're not as serious about it as me. And I can see, because I practice, and especially at the last set, I really started trying to get really serious. I wanted to go to challenges. I'd love to be able to be invited to go to Worlds, right, at some point. So I am looking at a higher caliber of gameplay. I am trying to improve myself. I am trying to study the other decks so that I can understand. This is all in my hobby time, but like I'm taking it serious. I'm making this video right now, right? And so like to me, it's a big deal and important. But I can tell from the other players that sometimes they get frustrated that they're still losing, and for you to then turn around and yank out 4 sets of their cards when they've been buying singles because there isn't enough product available, and they finally got their sets of Rapunzels, or they finally got their sets of whatever, and now you've just said, yeah, that's cool. I'm really glad that you bought those, but they're banned. And if you don't announce the full list of what's going to be available in those reprints, man, I am genuinely worried about the future of the game, and I don't say that lightly. I'm not trying to be a doom and gloom person. I don't try to like be hyperbolic about everything's falling apart and it's all over. I think this is really bad overall in terms of the health of the community. I think it's going to just fuel the people who've already been wishing it to do poorly. They're going to be able to do victory laps in the short term about how the game's dead, just sell it. I mean, what of my collection do I hold on to? I don't know, right? I'm going to have months of that uncertainty. And by the time I do know, unless you come out very soon to say, we've decided to reprint 300 key cards with 50 from each color. I mean, do I hold on to my collection? Well, KoBaC, you can always use an Infinity. I don't want to play Infinity. I wanted the standard to be the Infinity. And then as things are broken, we just ban those things. You want to do reprints of big cards? Fine, do the reprints, but let us keep the old ones, like the old collection. Yeah, I can still use my old version of it, but and then as a collector, right? As a collector, I go buy Fabled. And let's say all the cards I could possibly want are carried over into Fabled. All of my Ruby Amethyst, all of my good Steel Song cards, right? Those get carried over because those are my 2, I'd say, main decks right now. All of the key pieces are carried over. I literally lose nothing. Why then should I collect Fabled as a collector, right? I feel like this hurts the buyer side, the collector side. This hurts the player side. This hurts the hybrids. This hurts the resellers. This hurts the investor people who you may not like the person who comes in and buys, 12 cases of first chapter and is just sitting on it until they become very expensive. But those players are also needed because there needs to be some sort of value in these cards. If these cards have no value, granted, nothing has value except what we associate with it, but in the sense of right now, most booster packs you open, you have lost money. And you could say that's just how TCGs are. I don't think they should be. And I think it is definitely crazy that now that is. And by the way, I forgot to announce they are going to have 2 new rarities that appears to be in the boosters. They're epic and iconic. That's now just going to make it even so much harder for collectors because now you have 2 additional rarities that are still going to be the same stats as the regular cards in the set, but now you have 2 new rarities. We don't know yet how many of them are going to be iconic, how many of them are going to be epic. Is it going to be one of each? Is it going to be just certain ones? Don't know. Star Wars Unlimited, as someone who was playing Lorcana and then tried to get in Unlimited, I bought into the first set because I was just excited and I ended up selling it. But I got into the first set and then I started realizing, wait, you have 4 different rarities of every single card, with some of them also having a different one. I think it was. How am I supposed to collect 4 different rarities? Unless I'm going to sink big money into the set. Why would I sink big money into the set if I know that in a year or 2, that entire set is completely dead? What's the point? Why do it? Why give us new rarities and then take away big parts of our collection, especially in the first 2 years of this game being around? By year 2, it appears that year 1 is gone. That's awful. That's really bad. And I don't see how that's going to be healthy for the game overall or for the market or for collectors. I just don't see it. I guess the question is, am I selling my collection right now? No. I love the game. I'm absolutely going to wait until May 6th. I want to figure out a path forward. I'm hopeful that Ravensburger will do the smart thing and release the list of everything going to be reprinted so that we at least have that as a confidence. But I think if they don't do that, we are literally going to see about 4 months of toxin in the community that will either have to be suppressed by moderators and admins, which isn't healthy, or will be ignored because there's so much of it and it will scare away new players. And by the time that Fabled and then Set 10 comes out, the community is really hurting for new blood, for new people coming into the game. Because if someone new gets into the game right now, if they sat down and said, yo, what do I need to play? I want to get into, what's the deck I should play? What's the strongest deck? What do I need? I got $300. I'm going to slap it down on any deck you tell me. I'd be like, save your money and wait. That would literally be my advice right now. Wait until the announcement on May 6th, and then maybe you should wait until August. Because by the time we get all the reveals through August, I'll have a better idea to be able to tell you what to do with that money. Because otherwise, you could just be throwing that $300 away. Because that's exactly how I feel about buying those cold foils. I hope it ends up being a positive thing. I hope that this ends up being good for the community overall in some way. I don't see how, but I do hope that it is. I mean, I've been making these videos on my YouTube channel to people who don't play Lorcana to hopefully build up interest from my YouTube channel. Why should anybody who's not played yet be interested in the game right now? I think that's bad. That's bad. I hope that things change. I hope that they've got a really, really solid plan, but I'm not going to just give them false positivity. I'm not going to hype them up and to just say, let's just trust Ravensburger. They're a company like any other company. They happen to produce something that I really enjoy, but they're still a company, and it's still not the same as knowing a small creator or an individual, right? So their interest at the end of the day is to make money. Their interest isn't to do what's best for me individually. And I'm not against them for trying. They have to make money to keep the game going. I'm not against that. I understand that. I run my own gaming studio, right, for my own products. So like, I get that aspect. I don't know how to get people into the game right now.